targeted by another hate group. Now, as much as I wanted to believe the Me Too movement and LGBT pride and BLM were not entirely racist and sexist hate groups, this is what they are. All of them. Wanting to pump you full of false notions and BS. I gotta tell you, when you want to sell a false narrative that gets others harmed or killed, you are not going to have my support. It got to the point where straight people needed to start arming themselves to protect themselves from the LGBT community years ago. Now, when we have a shooting, right? How many of you care about any of these other shootings as much as you care about the LGBT? That's right, you don't. You don't. You don't focus on the issue at hand, which is violence and unfettered blame. We got black folks saying it's white people's fault. We got the LGBT community saying it's straight people's fault. No, it's not. There are plenty of straight people out here who support your right to slobber on whatever knobber you want to in the privacy of your own fucking bedroom. The problem that we have now is that people think that things that are obviously not societally appropriate for public should be somehow appropriate for homosexuals, for cross-dressers, for people who want to call themselves something else but still maintain their original equipment. You go slobber whoever's knobber you want to in the privacy of your own bedroom, as long as they are of consenting legal age and actually consent. Fine. Now, this war against everybody, because you are holding a grudge because everybody won't bow down to your every will and command. No, we're being forced to bow down to your will and command at this point. I don't owe you because you're gay. I don't owe you because you put on a dress. I don't owe you for putting on slacks. You want special treatment because you wear a dress as a guy. Well, that's not going to happen. In Roman times, the men wore dresses. Pants were considered to be for women. Now, I've been saying for a long time that the people that really need to be armed, the people who need to defend themselves and protect themselves, including from the black community, including from the LGBT community, everyone who is homeless is a target for these groups. If you are homeless and gay, you will still have gay people who will down on you as if you've got no clue. Because you're homeless, you can't possibly know what it's like. You know how weird that is? When you got a homosexual in a house coming up to a homosexual on the street, blaming that homosexual on the street for all of his problems because he's gay. Like, no, that homeless dude is not to blame for you being a homosexual. You treating a homeless person who's a homosexual like they're a bad person because you're a homosexual or because they're homeless, they should not deserve any of the rights of a homosexual. What are you friggin' thinking? And then we get to see these false narratives being thrown at us. It's our fault for looking away, even though we're not looking away. How many of you have fought for the LGBT community? How many of you have actually fought for their rights? How many of you have marched with BLM or, of course, laid down in the middle of the road? How many of you have gone to Pride Fest in support of your friends who are alternate lifestyle? How many of you have been picked on for supporting your friends who are alternate lifestyle? How many of your friends have downed on you as if you're a bad person because of things that are in their head? Of course, it's in their head. That's where your brains are supposed to be. If you've got a mental health issue, it is in your head. Just because you are LGBT doesn't mean that you're mental. However, there are a lot of us out here who are targeted by selfish people. Selfish people who think that only their group matters, and that is the LGBT community, the BLM community. These are racist and sexist hate groups. I don't owe you for being gay. I didn't make you gay. I don't owe it to you to become gay. And it is not my fault when you're an obnoxious knockhead and people beat your ass for being an asshole. Most of the homosexuals that I've seen beaten up in front of me were not beaten up for being gay. They were being, of course, beaten up for being antagonistic assholes. Now, when people walk into a church and blast everybody, or walk into Google and blast everybody, or walk into the post office and blast everybody, do you say, hey, everybody who works at the post office, you guys need to arm yourselves? Same people who are saying we should get rid of guns are saying, hey, we should arm the homosexuals. We should arm the cross-dressers. Do homosexuals have to take as much abuse as the homeless? No! Not even fucking close! We take hell from the BLM community. We take hell from the homosexual community. We take a lot of hell from a lot of different communities that want to blame white. It's all the white man's fault. And I'm not allowed to point out that that's both sexist and racist. How many of you did I own? How many of you with BLM are out picking my cotton fields? None. I don't own a cotton field. I don't own any people either. Now, if you guys take a look at the LGBT community and how they've treated me, you can see that it's a whole bunch of selfish people that I know. Is there anybody representative of the LGBT community who is not going out of their way to say, hey, we should be allowed to break the law? Now we got child molesters who want to be part of the LGBT community. No! Not a chance in hell that I'm going to support some 50-year-old POS fucking a little kid. Not a chance in hell. Is Ariana representative of the LGBT community? Because if so, yeah, don't arm them. That'll get innocent people killed. Ariana is mentally unstable and doesn't take no for a fucking answer. What are the chances of Ariana getting fucked up and murdering somebody for saying no? They're pretty fucking good. How about David and Bo? David and Bo are married. David has never hit on me, never flirted with me, never tried to make me feel uncomfortable. But Bo certainly has. Bo can't tell the truth about Ken and Leah. Can't come forward and be honest about Ken and Leah. But he stopped being friends with me. Why? Because I wouldn't masturbate on camera for him. I'm not allowed to have problems because, of course, if I've got a gay friend that I try to take my problems to, they try pretending that, oh, lo and behold, I don't have any problems. I couldn't possibly have problems because I'm straight. Well, I'm not straight. That's your assumption. As far as LGBT goes, yes, I absolutely fit into that group. Yes, I am absolutely a part of the LGBT community. I don't have to suck dick to be a part of it. When it comes to the LGBT community, they, just like BLM, just like the KKK, just like the police, and just like your own mother, when they have a bad day, you know that you always have a group of people you can take it out on. If you're gay and you got kicked out of the military for being gay, well, you're not going to go after the military. You might talk about it. Heck, you might have enough support to actually take him to court, but are you going to follow through? Or are you going to take it out on somebody like me who's been fighting for your rights? Somebody like me who's not alternate lifestyle enough for you? Wraith seems to think that the LGBT community is only for homosexual males. So even within the LGBT community, you've got people who want to say, oh, well, you're not like me, so you can't be a part of this group. You're not interested in men or women? Well, this group is specifically for people who are targeted because they're into what? What does LGBT stand for? How about the Q at the end? What does that stand for? It's gotten to the point where a black man can beat the shit out of you because he don't like you, because he has a lot of angst and anger. Because he's been taught his whole life that no matter what, everything is white people's fault. He got busted, it must be white people's fault. And then, of course, instead of taking it out on the people that he really should be taking it out on, if you were really targeted by the police for the color of your skin, maybe you should go after the police instead of white people. If people in Congress, which includes women and minorities, pass laws that get you and your family killed and help the people that killed them to get away, well, that ain't white people. There are millions and millions and millions of white people in the United States that did not do that to you. You want to tell us, hey, it's our fault because we're looking away. I'm not looking away. I'm listening to your excuses why you get to look away. You have special rights to look away and not be treated bad for it. Why? Because you think you deserve special rights. No, you don't. I'm willing to fight for equality. Equality means that if somebody victimizes you, they go to fucking jail. But equality also means if you're a fucking piece of shit too, you belong in jail. You don't get special treatment just because you suck a dick as a male. You don't get special treatment just because you're licking twat as a female. That is sexist. You think you've got it worse than everybody else because you're fucking gay. Well, there's lots of people who are assaulted every day for being gay who aren't. But you don't stop to think about that, do you? You don't stop to consider those people human beings, do you? We've got the LGBT community treating everybody else like their own Untermenschen, lesser peoples. You know, in the 80s, yeah, there was a lot more hate towards homosexuals. There was a lot more hate. But you take a look, we got the lesbian community pretending like they're treated the same as gay men. No. No, they are not. The same stigmatism or the same stigma is not attached to both of them. Being a lesbian has been far more acceptable than being a homosexual male. Most straight males still absolutely think that lesbian pornography is the most wonderful thing on the planet. So yeah, very much there are people within the straight community who are very supportive of the LGBT community. But again, it's sexually motivated, is it not? It's gender motivated, is it not? Now we get the whole no means no thing, right? And of course, there's women who want to complain at me. Oh well, when a guy flirts with us, we don't want that kind of attention. We're told we should be flattered. Well, you know what? If somebody is attracted to you, you're allowed to be flattered. And yes, you should be flattered. Just because somebody's attracted to you doesn't mean that they're out of line. Let me tell you the difference between being attracted to somebody and being out of line. Bo is attracted to me. For what reason, I don't know. But I don't want to masturbate in front of him. I don't think that that's something that I should have to do to get his help. If he was my friend, he would be my friend. He would do the right thing because he's my friend, because he cares about me. He wouldn't change the subject at least 8 different times in one conversation because he's horny. No means no. But then, of course, we got these rules now about which group it's acceptable to say no to and which ones it ain't. Does the LGBT community need to arm themselves against some major onslaught by the American people against homosexuals? No. It's gotten to the point because of people like me who have fought so hard for your rights in person when it mattered. When people were going to beat up one of my gay friends for being gay, you goddamn right I got in the middle of it. When one of my gay friends was going to get his ass beat because he was a little asshole, well, yeah, I got involved then too. If you as a homosexual can antagonize somebody who didn't do anything to you and just perpetually antagonize them, and then you get your ass beat. You didn't get your ass beat for being a homosexual. You got your ass beat for being an antagonistic fuckhead. And when people are treating you with equality, what do? You fucking whine that it's not fair because you're gay. Hold on a second. You think you should be allowed to commit crimes against people because you're gay? You think you should get away with breaking the law because you're gay? You think that although you type the slogan of no means no, that it means you're being supportive of your community? No, you're not accepting the word no, are you, Bo? You're not accepting of the word no, are you, Ariana? About Rafe? Is he accepting of the word no? That depends on if he's the one saying it. The rules are different for the people within these hate groups. These are hate groups. These are special interest groups who want special rights at your expense. Do I believe that the LGBT community should be armed? Absolutely. Do I believe the homeless should be armed? Absolutely. Do I believe in arming the American population? I have been arming the American population. I armed my little sister with a taser for a reason. She's not the only person that I armed. Stephanie Mejia, I armed her with pepper spray. Juan Santana, I armed him as well. I gave him a flashlight. It's also a taser. If they were going to be going down to Colorado with me where things could get rough, I wasn't going to have them incapable of defending themselves against my assailants. My assailants. After all these years of them not just threatening me, but also my friends and family, you goddamn right I armed them. That is the intelligent thing to do. When did black folks finally start getting rights in this country? When they picked up guns. When they picked up guns and walked them to the places where they mattered. The Second Amendment is not a hunting law. It's an anti-tyrant law. So when the Black Panther Party, for self-defense, walked all up into the Capitol, California, those folks who thought it was okay, thought what they were doing is okay, those people who had been asked, please, will you stop victimizing us? Will you please stop victimizing us? Will you please stop? Hey, you guys need to stop. You do need to stop. You do need to stop. You know what? Obviously, asking tyrants to stop doesn't work. It's time to pick up your firearms. And they did exactly that. And we ignore them and those actual heroes because we want to talk about a stick in the mud. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is probably the worst thing to happen for black rights in the United States. And here is why. Because it sells a false narrative. It sells the narrative that it was a peaceful protest that brought an end to what was going on. First of all, it didn't bring an end to it. That's a farce. That's like saying that at the end of Civil War, there was no more slavery in the United States. No, the 13th Amendment, the very law that freed Southern slaves, made all of them property of the state. All of them property of the government. We didn't make slavery illegal. We made it more legal, and we expanded it to include a lot more people. Now, I got these sex sites on here. There's another one typing on here. We got this perversion being thrown at us everywhere we go. And I've got lots of lesbian friends who objectionalize the hell out of women. Objectionalize the hell out of them. And then complain that women are being objectionalized. So it's okay for you? Why is it okay for you? Kind of like, why is it okay for straight women to objectionalize men, then complain about being objectionalized? No offense, but you're not worth a fuck. I'm not interested. But because I'm not gay, every homosexual who wants to target me because they can't go after somebody else, every homosexual who targets me has a built-in excuse. If I try telling on a homosexual who abuses me, well, it's going to be treated the same way as Robert Franklin Warnick, the sexual predator. Robert Franklin Warnick, let me tell you about him. He's a sexual predator. He is on the Nebraska registered sex offenders list for a reason. He thought it was okay to fuck little kids. But there are special rights. It's a hate crime for you to defend yourself against a sex offender, because all they got to do is pretend that they were targeted for being a sex offender, and it's a hate crime. That's right. It's not a hate crime to go after a homeless person. Even if you want to pretend that that homeless person must be a homosexual as your excuse to harm them, am I for arming the LGBT community? They have the right. They've had the right. The LGBT community, there is nothing within the LGBT community preventing them from having firearms, from having mace, or from having tasers. But if you're a homeless person, you might get murdered for even possessing such a thing. So, no, I don't think that the LGBT community should be armed unless the LGBT community is going to fight for equality and help to arm the homeless. Even within homeless communities, these special rights dudes want special fucking treatment. The LGBT community in Boulder, Colorado can see that straight homeless people are victimized more than gay homeless people. It's not like being black. If you're black in Boulder, the cops want to leave you alone. They want you to get away with whatever the hell you can because they don't want to do their jobs because they don't want to be called racist. If they're going to target a black man in Boulder, he's going to be homeless. If he's not homeless, he wasn't targeted for being black. If he wasn't homeless, he was targeted by police because it was assumed he was homeless 100% of the time. That is in the situation of false accusations, false arrests, and the like. That's not to say that if a black man goes into a business in Boulder, Colorado with a shotgun and points it at the clerk and says, "Hey, give me all your money," yeah, that man is not being targeted because he was black. He was targeted because he pulled out a fucking gun on people. Now, the LGBT community doesn't get treated like they're out trying to murder people because they say that you need to defend yourself. I also see many in the LGBT community being the predators. If you are being a predator and then whining that people might do something to you, you know, that's the same bullshit as Tim Beeson and Natalie Bollinger. Oh, it's okay for you to kill me, to threaten to kill me, because I might threaten to kill you in the future. Well, I didn't threaten to kill them, now did I? You fucking twit. But no, I gotta go to the back of the bus because I'm not gay. I gotta go to the back of the bus because I don't suck dick. I gotta go to the back of the bus because I don't have a vagina. I gotta go to the back of the bus because my skin ain't the right fucking color. I can't be victimized because men make $49,000 a year on average and women make $44,000 a year on average. So apparently I must be sexist even though I make what, $10,000 a year? If that? Holy shit. How many of these shootings have been perpetrated against children? Why aren't we arming children? Why aren't we giving children guns when they go to school so they can protect themselves? Why aren't we arming our kids with mace and tasers? Let me show you something. I got mace right fucking here. I got pepper spray. And of course, it's got both in here. It says that it's got pepper spray and, of course, a UV dye and actual mace. Why do I have that? For protection. How many times have I sprayed this container? And the whole time that I've had it, I've never sprayed it. There's no reason to spray it. But when you've got a class of people who have been taught and mansplained and womansplained to the point that they're not responsible, they can't be held responsible, it's not their fault when they do something irresponsible, why don't you try looking at this from the perspective of the victims, all of the victims? How many of these shootings were perpetrated against gay nightclubs, and how many of these shootings were perpetrated against the Baptist church? Yeah, we've had a lot more Baptist church killings, ain't we? How many of these people are going in and blasting their employees? Are we arming every Walmart employee? Are we encouraging every Walmart employee to go to work armed? No. Are you fighting to have your kids armed in school so they can defend themselves when some quack job that you guys bullied his entire life decides he's going to take it out on your kids? It's a good way to hurt you, isn't it? If these people kill your kids over the shit that you did, well, your kids aren't going to grow up to be like you. And you're going to hurt. And that's exactly the point in going to places like that. Are you going to arm children like you want to say to do to the LGBT community? Meanwhile, what about the majority of the LGBT community who is perpetrating crimes against us? When I say the majority, I say because it, in specific, is a false narrative being sold. It is a sexist and a biased narrative being sold by BLM. It is a sexist and a biased narrative being sold by the LGBT community. If it's not okay for me to defend myself against a homosexual, then we got much bigger problems. If it's against the law for me to defend myself against a woman who is twice my size, we got some pretty major fucking problems. Now, according to the law, it's illegal to assault somebody. But nobody follows the law. You teach your daughters they get to punch a man once for free. If she decides that that resets every 2 seconds, oh, well, that's in the past, that's in the past, that's in the past. That was 2 seconds ago. You really want to play that? That's like the biggest hoes in Chapel, Nebraska, getting knocked up because they were drunk at parties. And then they get pregnant. And then all of a sudden they got kids. And they're teaching their kids and telling their kids, oh, mommy's never touched drugs. Mommy's never touched alcohol. Mommy's only ever been with your daddy. Really? I went to high school with you, lady. Why the fuck are you lying to your kids? Why are you selling your kids a false narrative? Oh, I get it. You're pulling the Queen Elizabeth I thing, right? Like, sure, you can go out and be an outright hoe bag and complain that men are outright hoe bags. All men must be hoe bags because you're sexist? I don't agree with that. I also don't agree with changing the rules for certain groups. We have created a society whereby each one of these special interest groups gets to harm other people and play victim. Like, any black person in America knows that they can go out and assault the fuck out of a white person and say, oh, he called me the N-word. Huh. So you can literally target people because you're a racist asshole and then literally blame your victims. Just like Natalie Bollinger did. You stupid pieces of shit. By the way, Natalie Bollinger's bisexual. Her sister Alicia Bollinger, also bisexual. Does that make their sins okay? Does that make the things that they have done okay? No, it doesn't. You need to arm yourself and protect yourself from BLM and their narrative. They will fucking kill you with no remorse and tell you it's your fault for being white. I'm not telling you to go out and shoot black people. I'm not telling you to go commit hate crimes. I'm telling you that if these racist and sexist hate groups are going to continually perpetuate this crap and target other victims just because they're not part of that group, you are going to be one of their victims. You are going to be targeted by the LGBT community. If you are straight, you already have been. If you are white, you have already been targeted by BLM. No matter how much you do for them, you are their enemy in their mind, no matter what. I'm not picking sides here based on color. I'm not picking sides here at all. I'm saying equal means equal. We've taught the LGBT community that they're allowed to victimize straight people. We have taught BLM and their followers that it is okay to target someone as long as they are white. If you don't get what you want as a woman, we have taught you that it is okay for you to target and blame men. No, your perpetrators have names. My perpetrators have names. My perpetrators have names like Bo. Yeah, Bo. Ooh. My perpetrators have names like Doug Cowden. My perpetrators have names like Rose M. Kelly. My predators have names like Natalie M. Bollinger. My predators have names like Denise Bollinger. My predators have names like Jennifer Farina Bollinger. My predators have names like Tim Beeson. My predators have names like Sandy Fromm. My predators have names like Robert Franklin Mornick. My predators have names. It's not men. It's not women. I don't know anyone named men. I don't know anyone named women. I know that Bo couldn't take no for an answer. That doesn't mean that every LGBT person out there won't take no for an answer. Just because your boyfriend Steven raped the shit out of you doesn't mean that all men are rapists. Just because you dated a dude who beat the shit out of you and went back 5 times doesn't mean that all men are going to beat you. It also doesn't make it that man's fault. If you go back to a beating, the first one is not your fault. A lot of people say, the first one is their fault. Second one, well, probably also their fault. Third one, also, no, if you keep going into that situation, putting yourself in that situation, which is far different than someone choosing homelessness. You move back in with that dude after he's beating the shit out of you. The next time he beats the shit out of you and you're on your own, you've got nobody but yourself to blame. People rescued you the first time and you went back. And those people who helped you are the ones that you shit on. A lot of people have been saying, hey, we need to arm women. We need to arm women. No, we need to arm men. Men need to be allowed to defend themselves against predators, even if those predators are women. Selling this false narratives, is killing innocent people who are sticking up for your fucking rights. You got straight white men fighting for LGBT rights. Get that through your fucking head. You have straight white men doing something when you get raped. We have straight white men who are fighting for your rights. And they have names too. There's a big difference between arming somebody to defend themselves and trying to primp somebody into a situation where, well, what you're doing is telling them who to hate and then arming them to do so. Arming them to go harm people. So is it all right for a gay person to target me and then blow my head off and say, well, I thought he was going to hit me? But that's what special rights groups do. They make it okay for sex offenders to rape your children. And of course, we're supposed to pretend like the predator is the victim. A lot of people want to pretend like if you target homosexuals who specifically target children, like you're targeting homosexuals. No, I'm targeting pedophiles. Don't fuck little kids. If you fuck little kids, no, you aren't getting my support. I will not protect a child molester the way that I will protect somebody who is being targeted for being black. I will not protect a child molester. That's the government that does that. The government who thinks it's a hate crime to defend yourself against a homosexual. It's a hate crime to defend yourself against a black person. It's against the law for you to defend yourself against a registered sex offender. But it's not against the law for any of these people to take their shit out on the homeless. You shouldn't have been fucking little kids. The fact that you're taking it out on the homeless is not okay. You shouldn't have been selling a false narrative. The fact that you're taking it out on the homeless, it's not okay. You blame men, then you take it out on the most victimized men in the country. Who are Natalie Bollinger's predators? Her family. Who are my predators? Her family. And everybody that they lied to and everybody they sold this false narrative to. Is BLM pretending that every black person who is incarcerated must be incarcerated because they're black? Actually, yes. That is the narrative they're selling. That's the narrative that Sammy Leon Lawrence IV wanted to sell. That is for certainly, the false and bullshit narrative that Zaid Atkinson chose to sell. Here's my recommendation. With BLM gearing up to murder more of us, because it's apparently okay because the rest of the country will look the other way. I recommend that if you are a straight person, that you arm yourself and defend yourself. I recommend that if you are a male, knowing that, well, here in the United States, you are being targeted just because you were born with a penis. Matter of fact, your life probably started off with genital mutilation for her pleasure. I highly recommend getting a firearm, getting pepper spray, getting a taser, and getting a very loud alarm for in case you are targeted by a man-hating lesbian. I highly recommend it. If they're gearing up and getting armed over a false narrative, yes, that false narrative is being used to target you. And if you are unarmed, well, you can take a look at the homeless population. This is the least likely to be armed in the country. Out of every group in the country, per capita, there are less guns in the homeless community than any other community. You're going to find more guns in the Amish community. How insane is that? As long as women are taught that everything is men's fault, and any time that they do something wrong, they can turn on the waterworks, and of course, they're predatory, forgiven and ignored. Yes, you do have to be afraid of people with that kind of mentality, whether they are LGBT, straight, gay, black, white, it don't matter. If a group of people feels that they deserve special rights, they will literally murder you over those special rights. They will literally target you over and over and over again and then complain when you react to long-term abuse. Have I ever told Bo no? Yes, I have. Has that ever stopped him? No, it hasn't. Have I ever told Brianna Hernandez Cordona no? Hundreds of times. That did not stop her. Bo doesn't want to help me, he just wants my dick. Brianna Hernandez Cordona didn't care about my safety or the safety issues that she was creating for me. All she cared about was she thought she was in love with me, so I should give it up. So when a woman pressures a man to give it up, it's magically okay. But if a man pressures a woman to have sex, it's magically not. You say that we can't take no for an answer. You're not going to find a woman I asked out more than once. Ever. I take no for an answer. You say no, that's it. Did I ever ask out Amanda DeMette? Once. And she said no. I found out later that I was her first crush. But I still never asked her out again. By the time I found that out, she was married. No, I'm not flirting with a married woman. Especially since I'm not interested in sex at all. That's what makes me a part of the LGBT community. I'm not interested in either. I don't want it. It's gross. I'm not interested in sex with men. Even if I ever was. People like Bo. And people like Wraith, aka Tori Wentworth. And people like Ariana have completely disgusted me with it. When it comes to sex with women. Yeah, I'm disgusted with it there too. No means no. But that woman who decided she was going to molest me in my sleep when I was homeless in Colorado, she didn't take no for an answer. She thought no meant come up to my squat in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping and put your hands down my pants. No, not okay. Women are allowed to harm me and to convince others to harm me by pretending that I might want to have sex with them. And you don't care. You can't stand up for a white man who is being targeted for the color of his skin. And, of course, for the fact that he's poor. Because even in Boulder, Colorado, when them black kids go out there bum bashing, just like when the white kids go out there bum bashing, well, they're picking people who are lower on the social pole than they are. Lower on the social ladder. I see BLM. I also see the community. And the community is targeting and perpetrating race crimes. You guys don't want to consider it a hate crime to take this out on the homeless. Meanwhile, there are more hate crimes committed against the homeless than all other hate crimes combined in the United States times 5. That is a shit ton. That is a lot of hate crimes against a population size of, well, let's go back to the 2019 numbers, because you guys don't want to believe there's 2.1 million homeless people now. In 2019, there were about 500,000 homeless people in the United States, and about 60 million black people. Meanwhile, the homeless accounted for 49% of those killed by police in 2019. Black people only accounted for 22%. Then there's you guys wanting to pretend that law enforcement can't do no wrong. You guys are the Trump supporters. We know you guys from a mile away. No matter what, it must be okay because the government did it. The government decides to, what? Is it the government deciding for George Floyd to be killed? No, that was selfish POSs who didn't care. Didn't care about the life of another human being, just like you guys don't care about my life. Just like the LGBT community, while whining that I don't do enough, do literally nothing for me. The LGBT community and all of the people I know in the LGBT community have shown themselves in the last 6 years to be the predators, not the victims. You will make excuses for our predators. You will arm our predators. You will assist our predators. You will assist homosexuals in getting away with rape. You have assisted homosexuals in getting away with rape. But that's at least equal because you're helping straight people get away with rape too. At least that part is equal. Of course, while you're helping the predators get away, you're also using that false narrative to harm people who didn't commit those crimes. Or are you using it as an excuse to do those things to others? Now, I get if you have to show it as an example. I get that. If they're telling you, hey, it's not illegal for these people to threaten to kill you, so, of course, equality dictates that it must be all right for you to threaten their lives back. Maybe if you threaten their lives back, they'll think twice about coming to your door with a fucking shotgun. Well, when they threaten to kill you and your family and you try to turn them in and you're told it's not against the law, but you do it and it magically is, Oh, yeah, I don't matter because I'm not gay. I don't matter because I'm not black. I don't matter because I'm not a female. I don't matter because I don't have a badge. When it all comes down to it, in the end, I just simply don't matter. I'm not the right color. I'm not the right gender. I'm not the right sexual orientation. And I'm certainly not the right goddamn religion. The Second Amendment is for all of us. And all of us are being targeted. All of us are being targeted, every one of us. But to what degree? I know that here in Tillamook there is a rather large following and congregation of the KKK. I also know that the KKK and the Aryan Brotherhood are not necessarily friends. I also know that you're not going to go to an area that is KKK dominant and not run into people who are Aryan Brotherhood because it's a white society. It is a white society thing. Sure, they don't agree on the same politics, but they're glad to see a white face walking down the street. I'm different. When I see a black person or a Hispanic person or a Native American, that's what starts putting me at ease because that's somebody who might actually understand, might fight for my rights, might actually help or care, might actually understand what it's like to live an adverse life instead of having everything fucking handed to them by their fucking rich daddy. Now we get all these people who say that we owe these farmers, and if it weren't for these farmers, then we wouldn't have any food to eat, and we should all thank the farmer. No, we shouldn't. We need to thank the immigrants that they're hiring to do the actual labor. We need to thank ourselves for paying the taxes and subsidies that they use in order to not produce. Did you know 70% of our wheat last year was not produced? It was knocked down, not harvested, not used, and you did absolutely pay for it. And then we complain that we've got a shortage of food. We say, oh, we shouldn't be giving free food to this place and free food to that place. Well, we're giving them a whole hell of a lot of free bombs, aren't we? What's more expensive, a 10,000 pound bomb or 10,000 pounds of flour? Costs over $100,000. Over $100,000 for one of our shoulder-mounted surface-to-air missiles. Our cheap one. There's a reason that we got people in the government who are protected by people with full auto machine guns who don't want you to have access. Your life doesn't matter. Your job is to go to work to provide them with what they want. To the 600 or so white mothers who protected more than one march for BLM, I want to thank you for being the solution. I want to thank you for actually doing something. And although you're not doing that for the homeless, at least you're doing the right thing for somebody. To the 600,000 white Northern soldiers who gave up their lives to get rid of slavery. None of them are alive today, are they? None of them are alive to say that we're sorry for how our government misused their sacrifice. They're not alive to say, we're sorry that what you sacrificed your life for got turned into a narrative, a false narrative, and it's gotten a lot of innocent people killed. I'm sorry that you got duped into thinking that you were freeing black people when the 13th Amendment very clearly made them slaves immediately upon Of course, being released as slaves. They made anti-homeless laws because 4 million black Southerners who were no longer slaves were now homeless. And that there, my friends, is how all this shit got started. But BLM don't want to look at history. They want to ignore any history that doesn't sell their narrative. They want to ignore any and all history that does not show white people sticking up for black folks. BLM wants to turn a blind eye to the abuses created by their false narrative. It's a good thing I don't have any kids. I don't want my children being targeted because some racist black kid didn't get what he fucking wanted. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.